Yeah.
Hey, dude. I'm sitting here in mental health with Major Minarcik.
Oh, cool. Hi, man.
Minarcik. Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Lance.
Hi. Sorry, I was on the phone with, I keep forgetting her title, but Lieutenant Colonel Hinton.
No worries. Yeah, the SGH.
Yeah, there you go. SGH.
I was hoping to give you feedback before I take off tomorrow. I know it's kind of inopportune timing to kind of crash this at the end of the day, beyond the day.
No, you're fine.
Do you have time for this?
Yes. Did you get a chance to talk to Vanessa, by the way? Real fast?
I did not. I've reached out to her twice. Her Laurel Ridge gave me a call back and said I should direct my questions to her supervisor instead. So I placed a call with them, and I have not heard a call back.
Yeah, my text messages are green with her too. So she told me she's going somewhere like for a trip, work related. So I wasn't really paying attention when she told me that 2 weeks ago, but I don't know where she's at either.
Yeah, so I was unable to speak with her directly.
Okay, no problem.
So I'm going to go through the results of your evaluation, and some of this might be difficult to hear.
Okay.
I will start straight off the front. I'm going to be referring you for an MEB for these conditions that I'm talking about.
Okay.
The first one is for delusional disorder. I believe you've had, the name sounds a little bit more maybe off-putting than what I'd like to describe how I'm conceptualizing your case. I believe you've had a series of stressful events starting back from the COVID vaccine mandate that have significantly shifted in the way that you think about things in the world in a way that's been really unhealthy, both for your personal well-being and how you function in day-to-day life. I think this shift in the way that you're thinking has also probably been amplified by some of the changes in the way that your brain functions with different neurotransmitters. And I think something that would be considered going forward would be considering medication therapy and adjunctive to talk therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Next diagnosis that I have for you is still retaining the narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis. I understand that you were unhappy to hear that the first time, and I'm assuming it's probably still unhappy now. I don't think it makes it any less true. I think this is something, the way that you perceive yourself and others in certain venues and certain ways makes interpersonal relationships difficult, especially at work. And I think it's difficult to the point enough, again, causing you distress and friction within your work environments and relationships that it warrants clinical attention.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
The next diagnosis that I've looked at for you is called unspecified trauma and stressor-related disorder. This is very similar to PTSD. It's not quite the exact constellation of PTSD. It's not even something that suggests it is less severe than PTSD. It is just a different descriptor to suggest that you've had traumatic events with very significant impact that don't meet the exact description of PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
I've also diagnosed intermittent explosive disorder. This is discussing some of the anger outbursts that we had talked about and some of the impacts that those are having. And then lastly, I have retained the ADHD diagnosis from your history and maintained that on your account.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of these, sorry, apologize.
Sorry, I just said yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. Some of these disorders are unsuiting and unfitting. And as such, you will be referred to an MEB to be assessed and potentially, medically retired from these disorders.
Okay.
What are some of your initial thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm getting off the phone right now with Lieutenant Colonel Hinton, and she offered me to go to AMTU at Lackland, but she was explaining the differences between being attached there and assigned there. But for me to be assigned there and PCS there, AFPC would have to sign off on it. But for now, I told her I'm open to it. And I'm still kind of confused with what I don't even know what that means. Like, I have no idea. Like, I'll be going there working my AFSC and getting medical treatment, or if I'm just there to receive mental health treatment. See, she didn't really have the answers to that too, because she was a little bit slightly confused as well. But the fact that it was an offer and out of here, which I think would help me anyway, I said yes to it, and then she said she'll call me next Tuesday with more details on her pursuing that. Were any of you two aware of that at all?
We were not, but I was going to tell you that starting an MEB process also kind of increases the opportunities for the AM2 unit. So typically, just so you're aware, when you go down to the AM2 unit, the focus is medical care. Whether you're attached or assigned probably will differentiate whether your AFSC changes. So typically when you get assigned there or PCS'd there, your AFSC changes to be kind of in a status indicating as a patient who's getting medical treatment, and your original AFSC is removed. Some folks get attached there because they have cancer that happens, they need significant treatment, but then they will hopefully return to the Air Force and in their AFSC capability, and typically they get more attached in that way.
Okay.
That is a process that we will, again, kind of re-look at here from the mental health side. And again, now that we are going to be starting a MEB for you, some of the pushback that AFPC may have may be going away with that MEB. Okay.
Wait, sorry, may be going away from the MEB or towards the MEB?
No, the pushback from AFPC.
Oh, okay.
May go away.
Right, okay. Gotcha. Okay. And then let's see. I guess my biggest question right now is, let's hypothetically say, I was going to say, let's say the mandate never happened, but I don't even want to say that. Let's say that my command never did what they did, at least I perceive them to. And I say that to compromise and meet in the middle, just in case others don't believe that it happened to me, but they believe that I believe it happened to me, like it was discussed in my TTM. But let's say, none of this persecution that I keep saying happened to me. Do you think everything that you've diagnosed me with would be there, would be present?
Are you asking that even if this court-martial did not happen, would my diagnosis stay the same?
Not even that.
Are you asking
before?
Would you present with these symptoms if that never happened, right? That's what you're asking?
Yeah, and way before the court-martial, like without the cell extraction and going to confinement and being charged with all the false charges that I did. Yeah.
So when we are looking at this type of disorder, typically it expresses itself under significant stress and strain. And that level of stress and strain is different for everybody. I believe that for you, it happened, give or take 3 years ago. But it most certainly has not been assisted by additional recent events. I think you still may have some symptoms, even if other things haven't happened. Again, that's kind of a armchair of not really knowing what's in the parallel universe.
Yeah.
But I can say stress starts it, stress perpetuates it, stress does not help it.
Are you familiar with epigenetics, Lance?
With what?
Epigenetics?
No.
Okay, it's that we all have certain genes within us, and then at certain times in our lives, if we go through certain events, then those things are activated in us, right? Mm-hmm. So there's really no way to know if these traumatic events didn't happen, if you would still present or not. And this is coming from Boatmaster First Sergeant. I'm not a doctor.
He's doing a great job explaining, so I'm going to let him continue for now, but I won't hesitate to jump in.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were not to have gone through the trauma, then it is possible that those symptoms would not have expressed themselves. But really, there's no way of knowing. They still would have been there, right? Like they would have been in the genes. But we don't know if they would have actually come out to play.
Yeah, I kind of feel that that's a little unfair. the fact that these events had to have happened for that to come out of me, and then it being said that if they never happened, who knows if they would linger inside me, right? Like, we never know. Who knows what it would take for you to become me, you know, like with anger and stuff. What events would have to happen to you specifically? Maybe if you were charged and all this stuff, maybe you would have gone into confinement compliantly, of course. Like, there are people like that, right? But
dude, if I would have gone through the same trauma you went through, I have no idea who I would be 3 years later. I have no idea.
And the amount of stress it takes is different for each person. It depends on the sensitivity of the genes.
Yeah, that makes definitely sense.
That's not saying that yours are extra sensitive. I'm just saying, like, the combination of your experiences and your genes have now manifested in this way.
Yeah,
and it could be the same thing for me, and it might be different for me. It's kind of hard to know the exact composition of what makes that up. But what we do know is that it seems to be happening to you. And so I would like to recommend treatments to specifically address that for you, which you have not yet really had directed treatment for.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, I just find almost everything a trigger. Definitely not any of you two, but like in the TTM, sir, that you were in with me the other day. And there's just when people say things that I perceive to be not sincere, like my commander, who is stating stuff like, you know, I'm here for you, I care for you, I'm after the treatment for you, the long-term care, but she's not listening to my concerns. And then, ma'am, that book I was telling you that I'm reading, The Body Keeps the Score, I got into the part of what he states about, like, the author who was like one of the like, he had a significant impact of creating or helping create the PTSD diagnosis, I guess, back then too. But anyway, he even states, oh, that's a video I sent you too, sir, but he states stuff about a therapist needing to be corrigible and willing to try various treatments, and not just their treatment, like what they're telling me, which is prolonged exposures. What everyone constantly tells me, that I need to essentially go back to work and deal with this, because my commander told me I'm going to be triggered off base by people I interact with, and she doesn't know that. And she says, since you're going to be triggered by people off base that you interact with, then how's that helping you if we don't put you back in the situation for you to cope with this, like to deal with it, which was just so absolutely just bewildering of her to state. And it's her way or the highway. And then that book again states that if a therapist or a provider has only a one-way treatment that they only want you to try and not be open to others, especially to the patients, then you have to start to consider them as an ideologue, which pretty much is a tyrant and a dictator. And I just randomly heard that. I was listening to the Audible version the other night, and I sent it to the first shirt in the morning. So I didn't even know that, like, until I heard it from that book. And I definitely trust the author of that book and what he's stating and all the experience. That book is over like 10 hours long, Audible wise.
I think it's great that you're thinking about treatment options, right? So again, thinking about what I would recommend, I would encourage you to consider, we have different labs that we can run that might help narrow down different medication options for you. And if you're willing, we can put in those labs that you would take here at our lab here at Cannon Air Force Base, and they would help with psychiatrists trying to prescribe something that might be more effective for you. And I would encourage you to consider that option.
Because we agree, this is not a one size fits all thing. But
yeah, nothing is.
This will also help tailor it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would encourage you to consider seeking talk therapy to help address some of these shifts in the way that you think and you perceive and interface with folks. I think there's ways that we can help you manage the emotions that you're experiencing to help, again, shift some of the behaviors that are happening. Your assigned therapist, primary therapist here at the clinic, is Major Oldham, and he can also be your point for referrals from there. And so, but he would be your POC at this clinic to help make any referrals.
Yeah. So I'm glad that the first sergeant there, because he definitely saw the experience, or he saw firsthand what I'm about to say. So during my TTM, I don't even remember if I told you this, man, but I definitely don't trust him anymore, which I did give him the benefit of the doubt on Thursday. But on Friday, he pretty much implied, and First Sergeant, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I got the perception of he implied that even though I was acquitted of all charges, it doesn't mean I'm innocent. It just means I'm not guilty. I understand the differences between the two, but he's saying the government failed to provide the burden of proof that I'm guilty, which is true. But he implied with his cigarette analogy that I could have slipped through the cracks and gotten away with some charges. First of all, before I continue, Sergeant Cahoon, do you think that's pretty accurate, or am I just like completely wrong there?
Well, let me remind you, he's going to be your primary provider, so he just manages the care, almost like a PCM who places referrals. You know how you got that referral to your MRI?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would be placing the referrals, and that would be, again, either coordinating care with another clinic, placing a referral for off-base care, or maybe even, again, as I really encourage you to consider, is perhaps an inpatient facility where I think you would have some time to really focus on yourself. I understand maybe now it's not the time with, I know your son, is he one today or tomorrow?
Yeah, today, actually, yeah.
Today.
Oh my God, dude.
Well, happy birthday, Asher.
Right, thank you. Yeah, he's right here.
And so, I understand that you have important milestones to be there for, but at some point before you get out of the military and while you are here able to take advantage of the resources, I really encourage you to consider inpatient as one of those resources at your disposal that I think might be useful to you. And again, his role in that would be placing the referral.
Yeah, just real fast, what would be the biggest significant difference between inpatient and outpatient? Because I'm all for outpatient again. Inpatient, yeah. I'm absolutely not as of this point. Like I said, my biggest support are my dogs and my son, and like just for you to help me to be convinced, what's the biggest difference that I'm missing out by doing outpatient again, hypothetically, than inpatient?
Yeah, I think one of the nice things that inpatient can provide is a lot more finessed tuning to those medications we talked about. They can have a closer monitoring of symptoms and being able to make on-the-spot changes. Outpatient does not really offer that same kind of bespoke psychiatric med care.
Yep, that's true. But then again, I would have to be even open and considering medications, though. Right.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to give them a shot, though, again, being able to do it in an environment where you can have immediate modifications and changes as needed, as opposed to trying it for a couple weeks, waiting for your follow-up, reporting the symptoms, changing it, waiting a couple weeks. Do you see what I'm saying? I think you would be in a time where you could get that immediate feedback and care and possibly find, a combination that works best for you as quickly as possible.
Overall, it sounds like it would be a lot faster in the long run to get you what you need.
Again, I'm not mandating this by any means. That is not any recommendation that is coming from me. This is just kind of from Jen to Lance here. I really encourage you to consider that as part of your long-term care and plan for yourself and your future.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's gonna take it's gonna take a while to convince me for that, because I have thought about that. I don't even want to be on any new medications. My goal is to wane off of medications, because long-term use of medications I don't think is an issue. And I'm definitely not no therapist or psychiatrist, but I've done tons of research on my own, reading books, watching psychologists and psychiatrists podcasts, and I've done a lot on my own. And I don't know. I still don't see. Yeah, I don't know. I think with my personality that I've proven now that I'm willing to die than comply with unlawful orders that I've proven, and to constantly just not accept plea bargains at my command, constantly threw at me with each rejection, and I'd rather go back to jail and all that stuff just to get my day in court, even if the judge was corrupt, which she wasn't, thank goodness, but I didn't know that, but I took a chance on that. I don't see I honestly don't see me ever being open to go to inpatient. Like I'm not trying to say I wouldn't consider it because I'm very corrigible, but I'm not corrigible on the things that I know would be wrong for me, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm 38. I don't want to be told by others when I can use my phone or what time I have to go to bed. And I don't even think I need medication. I think I need to get what I need to do addressed, like my complaints that I'm working with the congressman on and more Article 138, it needs to be all addressed. So once that can happen, and I don't know, just being out of the environment too from Abduali and everyone that has had in some way a part to play negatively in this. Again, not y'all too at all, but I think that's the ultimate treatment on top of what I just said too.
Yeah, I'd like to encourage. I'm just going to offer one challenge to that to consider. Right.
Okay.
I think that I hear you say there's some things like holding your taking your phone away and only being able to use it at certain times. Like those rules are there to help provide an environment where you can focus on yourself. And as a therapist who has met with you and looked over tons of data points related to you and spent many, many hours this weekend for you to come up with these recommendations as opposed to kind of listening to podcasts and books that are more broad scope, I really encourage you to consider this again, if not now, then in the future. Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I could say is I'll try to consider it, but as of right now, at least right now, it's hard.
That's fair. Yeah, I appreciate you trying to.
I appreciate that, and that's all I will ask. I do have I have a couple more talking points I want to get to. One of them is also potentially unpleasant, so I'll go ahead and throw with that one first. I am going to make a family advocacy referral based upon some of the kind of anger displays in the home. I think it's really important for family advocacy to kind of help provide you additional support and managing those emotions so that you can make sure that you are the best example possible for Asher.
Okay. Quick question too. Like, this is for both of you guys, please. Am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for lashing out on my walls? And I literally hit my punching bag. Thank goodness not the wall, but my punching bag last night because I got so upset at something and I hit it 5 times.
It's
hard.
It's better to hit the wall or the punching bag than a person.
So here's the thing: research has shown that kids who witness these things, such as dad hitting the wall, are more likely to not only have confusing and negative emotions about it, but they're also more likely to replicate it. And so it's from that the rationale for this referral exists.
Yeah. No. I understand completely that. My question specifically was, am I in the wrong for what I believe? And I'm not even asking right now specifically if you guys believe what I'm saying, because I know you guys believe that I believe it, and I know the differences between that. But what I believe is just the complete corruption on this base that at least I've experienced. I keep telling my fiance and everyone, it's just I'm so lucky, because I'm trying to think of it as a positive light, but it's like someone constantly winning the lottery over and over and over and over. It doesn't make sense. That would never happen. But if someone that was struck by lightning constantly, it's bad luck. But I'm saying I'm lucky because I keep getting more evidence that's going to come out when I have my meeting with the congressmen and senators of this base. And I'm kind of referring to what Captain Abduali told me on her 0 experience on prolonged exposure. And she told me the reasons why it would be best for me, when again, she's completely wrong and contradicting herself, in my opinion. And then again, Major Oldman, who I'm sure is experienced, but again, Sergeant Calhoun, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I have took what he said with his cigarette analogy that I may have slipped through the cracks, or at least it's possible that I could have slipped through the cracks, instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt that my command maliciously and nefariously came after me and continues to. So
yeah, I'm not sure what Doc Oldham was trying exactly to portray with that analogy.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. That's what it was, though. What else could it have been? You could tell me.
Maybe just to understand the legal process. I honestly, I don't know.
Oh, I understand the legal. He's never even been through a court martial himself. So I understand exactly everything he was saying because I've done my own research too with my own case and how court martials work. But I'm telling you, with everything, all the hunches that I've had and my discernment that I've developed throughout these 3 years pertaining to my case solely, that's what he was getting at. And I was calling him out on it too. So it's not like I'm trying to hide this to him. I was calling him out on it, and his answers and how he respond and how he respond by sometimes not even answering what I'm asking him and just directing the conversation led me to believe that he is saying that it's possible I may still be guilty. The government just failed to prove I was guilty, but I could still be guilty. And he knows nothing of my charges. He knows nothing of any of them, but he's just given the complete benefit of the doubt and assuming the charitable assumption to my commander when he knows nothing of the situation. That is mad triggering to me. Like I said,
and so to kind of come back to that initial question, right? Like,
yeah.
I hear your frustration, I hear the anger, and I still do not think that the best way to manage it is kind of, again, through this visible violence that your son's witnessing. And so I want to be able to help craft a treatment plan for you that I will pass off for someone else to execute, that includes addressing these concerns of how do I manage getting so frustrated and so bubbled up. And part of it's, going to be prevention of that. Part of it's going to be alternative behaviors, but to be able to help you not feel like you're in this kind of volcano of emotions at all times.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let me ask my question over just in one quick sentence. I know I rambled. Am I in the wrong to display my anger and frustration the way I have been? Like, is it rightfully so? Is what I'm asking.
Like, are you justified in the anger, or are you justified in how you're displaying it?
Am I justified in my anger? Yeah, and how it's portraying. And I know it's bad, but how can someone constantly for almost 3 years with each new person, I'm glad you're not as bad as Ike, sir, because I've had nothing but terrible first sergeants. And if I found out hypothetically that you were corrupt and with them, like, that would just add another nail to the coffin of my anger. I can prove, that's a thing. I can prove, man, I do feel crazy that I keep saying that. I can prove the whole court martial is on my YouTube channel. I can prove that there's text messages, subpoenas from the confinement staff and my flight commander. Like, everyone was plotting against me, and then they say, we care for you, when at the time,
So whether or not the anger itself is justified isn't the issue. It's how that anger was portrayed by punching walls, especially where Asher could see. You know what I mean? That's the issue. It's how we release it and process that anger.
And again, you've gone through a number of challenging experiences, and my hope is to be able to help you manage both kind of the reflection of those experiences and the impact of how they go forward for you.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that, again, you consider some of these recommendations. Let me touch on the last one, okay? I definitely have some. I want to open up time for questions, but I also want to make sure that I do inform you. Again, we talked about this a bit on Friday, but I did not make any explicit recommendations, yes or no, for telework, okay? Mental health does not do that. That is a command decision. I do, though, recommend that you do have purposeful, supervised, clearly delineated work, though, that is provided for you. I think when someone goes to an office and they do not have something to do, I think that is a recipe for upsetness. And your shirt and I have been talking about some different ideas on what that might look like. We don't have any great ideas right now, but we are pursuing a number of different ones and what that could look like. So please give us some time to try to put together something that can meet having you feel like you have some sense of purpose, but still provide you the flexibility that you need to execute some of these medical recommendations that we're making.
Yeah. So I'm just going to be honest a little bit. That was slightly triggering, because I do feel I have a massive sense of purpose. The fact that I'm in this position now to really, truly, respectfully hold this base accountable, absolute, from the top down. I'm filled with nothing but purpose. Like this is my fight. This is an obligation that I have to all the other airmen that will be coming to this base in the next decade. For Mr. Voss or something to give me a task to keep me busy. My mind stays busy 24/7. I'm always writing notes. Like I'll try. I'll play the game chess, right? I'm not gonna get myself self-incriminated again or anything like that by literally not just showing up to work like I did last time, where I said I'm done with the harassment. Right. I'm done with the harassment. I choose to not play the game anymore, and I was acquitted of all charges. So the judge acquitted me of all charges. Ultimately, no one has said this, but I feel as if everyone thinks this, that she might have what's it called? What's that word called? I don't remember. Crap. I can't remember. But she's encouraging it. There you go. Like, she encouraged it by giving me a full acquittal, right? Like, of course, if I was really guilty and I got away with it, that's terrible. That's not justice. But what are the chances?
Neither of us are saying that.
I didn't say that. Yeah. No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, what are the chances of that happening?
I just wanted to clarify my statement because I did not mean to trigger you. I was hoping to say is that I'm not asking them to bring you into the office just to sit there. I'm asking them to bring you in with something to do, because I think asking you just to sit in an office all day is not going to be productive to your mental health.
Yeah.
So,
okay. That's a good point.
That is the challenge that I have presented to your command.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And my command is Captain Abdwali, or is it where I'm at? Because that's kind of complicated situation too.
Fair. Yeah. So I guess she is aware of that recommendation, but it's left to be executed by
FSS as far as what exactly you'll be doing.
Okay. So sounds good. Yeah, I like you guys so far. You and Hunt. No, for you guys have shown me like nothing but grace as of still to this day. But that could change. Like, I'm not threatening you or anything like that. Like it immediately changed with Major Oldham by giving me that analogy, even in a calm tone, that he's given them grace. Man. He's given them grace. Your quote. He's given them the charitable assumption that I may still be possibly guilty. It's crazy that he said that.
Well, I hope that we don't end up there, man, because I do care about you, I promise.
Well, I'm very logical, so if you guys did, I would talk you through it and give you an opportunity to rebut it, like I did Captain Abdwali, like I did with Captain Abdwali, and she can't even articulate her reasons or anything like that,
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. What questions do you have about kind of this whole evaluative process, Lance? What can I answer?
Yeah. So my biggest question, the PTSD so I've been diagnosed at Laurel Ridge. My question is, and I would appreciate yes or no, and I know it's going to be hard.
Sure.
So were they wrong with diagnosing me with PTSD at Laurel Ridge?
So again, like you said, it's not going to be yes or no. I don't believe that they were. I'd like to give my colleagues the benefit of the doubt that they did good medicine and they diagnosed you with that, but you don't meet criteria for that at this point in time. And I was unable to call or get a hold of, Miss Vanessa or her supervisor to kind of get those questions answered of, what were the exact ingredients of the, PTSD recipe, if you will, that you had met for at that time. So, it is in your chart. It is by history, but at this point, what you do currently meet criteria for is in the same class of PTSD. It's just a different constellation. Again, PTSD is a very specific recipe. Unspecified other stress and trauma-related disorders is the same. It's like a sibling to it. Yeah. It just has a little bit more variability in what it allows to be part of that diagnosis. And again, that's not to say that it's not even like a less than. It's just a different, specific label for it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is my 5th diagnosis of just, I guess, diagnoses, Before this was Laurel Ridge. Before that was Quadra Counselor. Before that was Next Step Psychiatry. And before that was Mental Health Resources. So, I'm always getting diagnosed with something, I guess, by any of them. But it's... I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so my 706 long report too, I have the last page here, and this was on June 21st of last year. And the very last thing on number 7, it says, Castle does have a mental condition that is currently disqualifying for continued service under AFI 48-123. And this was back in June. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that no one thought a CDE was necessary, even in October of last year, and they just let it continue. They just let it linger and all that stuff. It's frustrating.
It's a lot to process, and I can appreciate it. It's probably going to take, a few days to kind of let it simmer and work its way through, and it may not work all the way through and in a vacuum. I will pass along to the clinic that the recommendation is that you do not prefer to interface with Major Oldham, but for the time being, I need you to understand that he is your POC until you hear otherwise.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm going to be filing patient advocacy complaint on him, not to Master and Weber, but the one above her. And just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm never going to stop until I honestly don't believe Major Wiley is fit to continue her license of being a psychiatrist, and maybe that's completely unfair and of y'all to think that I'm saying that, but that's how I deeply feel. The fact that she shows zero remorse for what she's done, as if nothing happened. And just again, all the contradictions that I have of her, which ultimately her and the other one before her, Major Negre, I don't know. It's crazy. It's just, so hypothetically, if I could prove one day, right, in a year and a half from now and all that stuff, that everyone was complicit, not you two, but everyone was complicit, and I'm not crazy and I'm not delusional, and that everyone was out to get me, that I've at least encountered with the worst luck ever, but I'm considering it good luck because of the position that I feel that I'm in. I guess my question is and I don't know, is that super serious since it led to the symptoms and the diagnoses of where they're at today?
So really quick on this, you're talking about Major Wiley, Major Oldham. Just to be clear, because of you meeting with me and the credentials that I have done with being able to present this kind of report and eval to you, big picture-wise, that they're going to be the only other ones who can manage your care because they have to meet or exceed my credentials.
That's okay.
So
yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
I understand. I guess I will say I don't fully understand what Major Wiley has done, and I will let that be your experience. But I encourage you to consider utilizing them as the referral source for your therapy, because I do believe that that will be important for you. So please continue to think about how they can continue to provide care for you, even in a function that maybe you don't have to be as vulnerable with.
Right. Regardless, they're the tools that we have that you have to use.
Yeah. Super duper fast. Just answer your question. I could tell you super quick. The 3 things that Major Wiley has done. Number 1 is her and Major Negre colluded against me with the whole telework thing. Mrs. Morales has said this, and even you have just said this too, that telework recommendations or telework in general cannot be discussed. It needs to remain neutral. You guys aren't able to approve it or deny it or give recommendations for it or deter a commander's thinking of it or push him towards it, or push him or her towards it. Major Wiley has done that. I have her in a recording from the TTM in last October giving great detail on why telework would be counterintuitive. So either, if I need to find the AFI or the policy or whatever the mental health uses, DOD 6000, whatever, and I need to read that and find that it mental health cannot talk about that, because if that's true, she violated that, her and Major Negre. That's number 1. Number 2 is in my in my medical records, from her own notes that I have, states that I was provider shopping for diagnoses to suit me, which she gave my commander, and that's why they all thought that I was, I don't know, it's really insane, but she said I was provider shopping when I was at Next Step Psychiatry trying to get a second opinion when I didn't agree with mental health, the mental health clinic here. So she was wrong on that. I definitely. And then the very last thing, that very biggest last thing, is she was part of multiple meetings before my arrest, multiple meetings with the commanders on base, the group commander, the squadron commander, the security forces commander, OSI, and their SELs and their first sergeants, all that. And I'm saying this because this is what Col Vazquez said in court. He name drops everybody. And I asked her in the TTM, I was mad at her. I was like, why should I believe anything you say at this point, ma'am, when you lost your credibility to me because you encouraged security forces to arrest me en route to my TTM. Like, that TTM was used as a ploy to have me arrested, ambushed. And she says, well, you're wrong because I didn't say a word in those meetings and I didn't give advice to anyone, as in she was trying to get I got you phrase or moment, but her not saying anything on the wall at all and just sitting in the corner in these meetings, if she did do that, is negligence, and she should have had shut that down, the idea down of me being arrested, and at least tell the commanders, let's let him have his TTM first, and then we could decide after that, or send him to inpatient. But she didn't give that advice at all. So those 3 things is what she has done. And yeah, Sergeant Cahoon, what do you think of those 3 real fast? If true, if not even alleged, if true, hypothetically, would that be?
Yeah, I think you've been through a lot, man.
Right,
exactly.
And let's kind of go even back big picture. Think about the information that I gave. If you have any questions for me directly, please call mental health tomorrow. Leave your questions. I will check in, respond to them. They'll pass it back. But for now, it's the night of your son's first birthday. It's, dinner time. Let me let you go celebrate this moment with him. I know it's got to be super important for you. And then we can kind of funnel your questions up and I can funnel some responses back for you.
Yeah, it's just rhetorical. I'm just, this is rhetorical questions. I already know. Man, I don't need you to tell me that it was a wrong of her or not wrong of her, because I already know they were, and that's why I'm so convicted in my train of thought to bring this base to justice. Okay, the very super last thing is the delusional. What specifically made you want to diagnose me with being delusional, I guess? Or how does that work?
Yeah.
And that's the last thing. Yeah.
Again, the labeling for it doesn't really sit well. It kind of gives you a little throwback, but I think it's, again, kind of even as we talk right now, there's a lot of times that your thought process immediately goes to, I would say, what is most commonly maybe a worst case scenario or most attacked or defensive scenario. And I don't think that all the time that is true for you. And I think you're kind of primed and tuned to think about these things in a negative light. And I think it's really impacting you in a really negative way. I am not saying that you haven't had hunches that have been correct. What I am saying is that you're having a lot of hunches. Not all of them are correct. And some of those extra hunches are causing you a lot of distress. And I don't think that all of them are merited. And I'm hoping that with treatment and therapy, we can kind of weed out some of the unnecessary ones so that you're not having as much negative emotion as you are. And that way you can kind of focus your time, energy, and emotions on the ones that are valid and save some space in your life to focus on the emotions that are fulfilling.
Yeah, I understand. Can you just give me one and that's it? And I'll be gone for the night, please. One thing that I may not be correct on.
Okay.
Delusional wise, or wrong about my hunches. Sorry, not delusional. Hunch wise, can you just give me one reason or one example of what you don't think I'm correct on, big or small, just any one?
It's not the outcome of those hunches. It's the fact that your immediate interpretation of everything is negative and that it's out to get you. And so it's not whether that comes to the outcome, but that most of your first inclination is to feel like you need to be on a visceral defensive stance because you are being attacked. And that's the part that I'm trying to help direct treatment towards. It's just how you are responding and interpreting and pushing forward with some of these responses and thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. If I could defend myself on that point, then that's the last thing, since we're still on this topic. I think I have proven myself to be able to differentiate myself, or at least with my thinking of who I believe is out to get me and who's not. I've constantly said that during the CDE that I thought you and Sergeant Weber were great. I say Sergeant Cahoon as of right now and Sergeant Hunt are great. Major Boyd I'm neutral with. So the fact that I have people that I'm absolutely great with until I find out that they burn me, or at least I believe for them to, and I won't even disregard them. I will give them an opportunity to make good on why I think that they're out to burn me. And then I have a whole list, not a literal list, but a whole list of other people that have burned me and continue to because they can't articulate themselves on the points that don't make sense to me, like throughout that TTM that Sergeant Cahoon heard, which was insane in my opinion. And I can't wait to discuss that with you and Sergeant Hunt, sir. I don't believe everything to be delusion or off. So again, I'm just trying to defend myself here on I don't believe everyone is out to get me. I believe the majority is, but again, they have to prove something first, and I ride with something. I don't just say Colonel Bergin's out to get me. I come up with the point that I would feel is good in my own head, and that's my reasoning. I do believe Colonel Bergin is out to get me because my ADC told me that he viewed my 706 long report and I didn't give him the authorization to do that. And my PCS was canceled after my court-martial. I add that and add those two together, and that's why I think he denied it, is because my long report is terrible, but the person who conducted it was on the government side trying to favor them. So anyway, I don't think I'm crazy. I know I'm suffering from what has happened to me, and it is getting bad because it continues to happen. That is why, though, it's ongoing and it's continuous with new people. So that's why.
I encourage you again, as you're seeking treatment, be mindful that this defensive and kind of again, guarded tendency is going to be strong for you, and when it makes sense, try to give, especially people who are going to be helping you, an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. I know the benefit of the doubt and the charitable assumption, and I've said that a lot. I always have to do that for others, and I understand why I would have to, but I've done that so much. It's like trust them until you have no reason to trust them, or they're innocent till proven guilty, right? But again, I've told Sergeant Cahoon I've always been treated guilty till proven innocent, and even when I'm proven not guilty, I'm still looked about as guilty, and that
I hope that you recognize that at least with FSS, man, we are definitely making that charitable assumption with you. Past has no guilt and innocence has no bearing on who we think you are, man.
And so this might be a good place as you kind of go into the workplace to kind of practice and challenge some of, again, that initial defensiveness and see if you can get some, support from these folks, since you're coming in with kind of a blank slate here.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, man. I appreciate you, Lance. Thanks for taking the time to listen.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking my call again after hours, after day, to be able to give. I really wanted to be the one to give you this feedback, so I'm glad we were able to go ahead and do this before I left.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Instead of getting it from someone else, I really appreciate you doing that for me.
So thank you for taking this call after hours.
Absolutely.
But I do think we do need to wrap up, and so if you don't mind forwarding whatever questions that come to you, I will definitely check in and grab them, and I will. My response might be slow, but you will get a response.
Okay.
And
enjoy Asher's birthday, man. Have a great night.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. And I'll text you too, sir, on about tomorrow's whereabouts and all that stuff.
All right. Too easy, dude. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Major Minarcik. I really appreciate it. You have a safe flight to Florida.
You're very welcome, Lance. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.